might as well say what you got to say before you're dead.
And I encourage you to watch it once, twice, 3 times. I love when politicians say stupid things. Let me tell you something. You're thinking he's stupid, you know. If you take offense to it personally, that's your business. And it's the number one show. That's the show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Citizens Review. First of all, I want to say that I hope that everyone is faring well in the bit of a storm that we have now. I know that the rain weather has been difficult and very tough on some people. The flooding has still proven to be very difficult for some people. You're trying to recover from the last one. Now this next one coming. But thank God, at least in Nassau, I can speak to, there hasn't been much rain. When I was in Freeport earlier this week, there wasn't as much rain as was anticipated. So this is one time where I hope the weathermen are wrong and we sort of fare this a little lighter than we expected. So my hope and prayers and well wishes goes to everyone struggling with floods. You know, in church you say, when I was growing up in the Anglican church in Ascension in Freeport with Eric Sam and then Cornell Moss, who is now Bishop Moss, and Eric Sam was canon, you say every week, you say the intercessions, and you say, and we pray for those in suffering from drought, flood, this, that, and the next thing. And it sounds so, you know, it almost becomes part of what you just say. And then you go to Pinewood and you realize, flood here. We could actually suffer from floods right here at home. And so you're praying for your fellow Bahamian. So that, you know, that's just a little tidbit on the fact that there are some people in this country that woke up one morning and put their foot out their bed and landed in water in their own room. And just so you could understand the nature of flood damage, because I've experienced some of it before. I was actually in Miami as a child during Hurricane Andrew, which ravaged Miami, if you would remember. And, you know, if you have sheetrock in your house, the sheetrock gets damaged. So that's, in most houses, basically all of the walls. And if you don't fix it, you start to get mold, which could kill you or make you sick. And then if you think about like the couch and the fridge and the stove and all of these things, the cabinets, if you have particle board cabinet, the bottom of the cabinet swell. Just to give you an idea of the damage. And if you have couch and bed and thing, if it get wet, it smell bad, and then mold could develop as well. And this ain't no pure, fresh spring water. This water from out in the road that come inside your house. So the water dirty, it's nasty, and it messing up your house. So people could incur thousands of dollars in damage. And that's the kind of, that's the kind of devil you're fighting when you have to deal with flood. And these insurance companies, you know, what goes around comes around. They selling people these policies and can tell them about 4 days. If it don't rain continuously for 4 days, you don't get cover and all of this stuff. And it, you know, it ain't right. There's something wrong with the idea of trusting that you are insured, and then when the claim time come, you ain't insured because of, or this little thing that you didn't read, this little thing here, that means that thousands of dollars worth of damage you suffered, we ain't covering that. There has to be something wrong with that, man. It's just downright unethical. It's immoral, it's unjust, it ain't right. And I heard Ranford Patterson mentioning that the Christian Council has dropped the ball on crime, or some he say. The point is that when you see the Christian Council jump up for issues like gambling and sovereign trusts and oil, you sort of wonder, where's the Christian Council when the insurance companies sell you insurance which you believe covers damage to your house, and it don't cover damage to your house unless God say it's 4 days of rain and not 1 day of rain, but the water up to here. I walk in my house and my waist underwater, but that's a different type of rain. That ain't the right kind. It's problematic. It's an issue, and we need to fix that. The other thing that I want to comment on is that I spent Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning in Freeport. And oh my, I miss my Freeport, because when the rain them come, Freeport, all the infrastructure and thing in place. Now my brothers and sisters in 8 Mile Rock and Bootle Bay and Holmes Rock and West End and Freetown and High Rock and McLeanstown, and we may have some challenges in them areas, but in Freeport, the city, the infrastructure is so good. A little road get flooded here and there, but there ain't no thing. And so, ain't no pine wood. But Bahama Rock has ruined the cave systems underneath Grand Bahama. So Queens Cove does be under the Fishing Hole Road, which the government can't seem to figure out how to fix, and don't make no sense to me. But the Fishing Hole Road in Queens Cove does be submerged in water underneath the ground. Underneath the water. You could do a scuba trip on Queens Cove when it rained a little bit. And if you have a look, if you're a Grand Bahamian, you grow up driving on Fishing Hole Road, where pine tree was everywhere. And now all of a sudden, all the pine trees around that area dead. I submit that Bahama Rock's explosions have impacted the ecosystem in a way that not only promotes flooding, but also has caused those pine trees to die. Because what we are being signaled to by nature is that if ain't no fresh water, ain't no pine tree. That's what pine tree mean. Pine tree, fresh water everywhere in the world. So Freeport has a situation where the flooding is impacted by corporate interests that the Port Authority allows to destroy the ecosystem. Like Freeport Concrete, which is Brent Simonet, them company that in Freeport digging in the wetlands. I could bring the picture and show it to you. They don't sue me because I ain't lying. And so anytime you believe I lying, just go Google it yourself. Look up the map of Freeport, zoom in on Google Maps. There's a big hole in the island, and that's Bahama Rock hole, and then there's a smaller hole in the island, and that's Freeport Concrete hole. There's one like here, the next one like up there. Just go look for yourself. It's right on Google Maps. So, the point is, flooding is an issue in the Bahamas. We have to hold insurance companies more accountable, and we have to pray for our brothers and sisters to do well in these type of situations. The other thing I want to talk about, on a positive note, let me bend this, because they got one thing underneath here talking about primary school teacher in Rao from the Freeport News, and I ain't interested in that. What I am interested in is this headline here. See that there? Meet 8 Mile Rock High School's new head boy and head girl. Ah, hallelujah. 8 Mile Rock High School, head boy is Mactair Grant, and the head girl is Vashti Charlton. I don't know if her name is Vashti or Vashti. But the reason why I'm recognizing them is because I was supposed to go to Freeport while on Wednesday. Well, I went to Freeport, but I was supposed to go to 8 Mile Rock on Wednesday to speak to the students at 8 Mile Rock High School, particularly the graduating seniors. I will make that up to them. I'll try to make their graduation. But I couldn't because naturally the flood and the rain warnings and all of that came. So Western Air, who serviced me very well this week, called me first thing in the morning and said, Mr. Ferguson, if you intend to get out of Freeport, you better catch this 8 o'clock flight and go back to Nassau. So I came back to Nassau to check on my ma, because you all know my ma is my one and only, my heart, and so I have to make sure she's all right. It's amazing how, and I was talking to Pakisha Parker about this, it's amazing how when we canceled the interview, or not the interview, but the visit to 8 Mile Rock High School, Pakisha Parker Edgecombe sent me a message saying, well, school closed, I home watching over the children. And I say, oh, well, flood coming, so I got to go home to check on my ma. So it's amazing how the roles switch. Bob Marley in the song says, check out the real situation. He says, once a man and twice a child, everything is just for a while. Let me take this break now. I have a lot of things to talk about in Freeport. I want to show you some of the pictures from this booklet I got. I like for this to be up front and center. I got this booklet. This is a booklet that was produced by Dr. Surratt. It's about my interview on Up for Discussion by Pakisha Edgecombe. Special guest Aaron Ferguson from Citizens Review, Channel 14, JCN Television. I like that. But Dr. Surratt produced this book. It's a beautiful book. It has all the wonderful pictures of the interview. And just so you know, we did the interview at 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock. By 5 o'clock, the man walked in Sayers and give me this book, printed, binded, ready to go. So I was very impressed by Dr. Surratt, and he took a lot of pictures, and I'm going to show you some of those pictures. Congratulations to Mactair and Vashti on your head boy and head girl. When I was at Freeport Gospel Chapel School, I was head boy, preceded 2 years before by my brother Eldon Ferguson, who was also head boy. So, you know, I'm a family to the head boys and head girls of the Bahamas. Hallelujah. We'll be right back after these messages. Good evening and welcome back to Citizens Review. I'm your host, Aaron Ferguson, where we are independent, we are accurate, and we are bold. If anything else, we are independent, accurate, and bold. The show where we say we are but dust, and to dust you shall return, so you might as well say what you got to say before you're dead. You know, it's cracked me up every time when people come to me saying that, because it's so funny. And one of my favorite hymns is, well, my favorite hymns in general are funeral hymns. Now, I know that sounds funny, but how you could not like, and can it be that I should gain the mystery? I can't remember all the words, but hell, that's one of my sweetest songs. Amazing love, how can it be? Oh, Lord. And then you got the next one, what's the next one? Through all the changing scenes of life, a beautiful funeral song. Of course, everybody knows it's all right now, for I am in my Savior's care. Ah, hallelujah. Hey, just get your work right up. You just want to start, you know, dancing up and thinking them in the church. But I am from no jumper church. I apologize. You know, I'm from very calm, quiet church where we sit down and behave ourselves in church. So all of you from the jumper church, thank God for you for keeping the church alive. Hallelujah. But Give Rest, O Christ, which is also referred to as the Russian Kontakion, which is played at funerals. I remember it so vividly because Father Moss requested, and now Bishop Moss requested that it be played at my father's funeral. And so it's always stuck with me. Also, another funeral where it sort of stuck with me was at Christ the King in Freeport with Granny. You may not know Granny, but she's the mother of my godmother, Cynthia Donaldson, in Freeport. And they played it, and the choir sang it, and it just, you know, when they say, give rest, O Christ, da, 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 da. It's a beautiful song. Anyway, so Freeport. And let me say this really quickly. Let's put up a picture of when I was in Freeport. This me still in the studio. And we could go through a couple of them. Let me say this quickly. The Ian twins. And when I was on radio here, apparently Michael Darville and Fred Mitchell and the Port Authority called in to get a copy or to find out what was being said. And you know, these politicians and these business people, they are so famous for this nonsense. Let's show some more of the photos. Oh, this is when me and Yolanda was talking. Yolanda is my girl. Oh, my God. Yolanda is so wonderful. She met with me when I got to Freeport, and we were sitting down in Chiba Cafe talking by the Port Lacaya. And we was talking it up and having a good time. Man, we talked for hours and hours and hours. Show another picture. That's me, you know, telling Yolanda, you know, this could work. Because Yolanda, like a lot of people, wants to know whether there is hope for the Bahamas. And I keep telling people, the hope is real. It is real. Don't falter. We have a country that can do very well. This is my good friend I met in Chiba Cafe. She served me that vegetable omelet that was so very good. Absolutely wonderful. She added some banana peppers in it because I like jalapenos, but they had none, so she threw banana peppers. Lord have mercy. It was very good. This is me, Pakisha, and Yolanda out front of Chiba Cafe. We were having a good time, and then that's back in the studio. Any more? Let's show the Pakisha asking me some pre-interview questions. But what I want to say about Freeport is this. One, I am very, very concerned about the silence of people in Grand Bahama. Very concerned about it because it's almost as if people know and expect to be fired and or demonized or victimized on their jobs if they say anything. And that is a problem. That means the Port Authority and the container port, in particular Hutchison Whampoa, or as we said, Hutchison Wampire, have a problem with intimidating its workers. And that's sickening. Because what you are beginning to see is another generation of young people in Freeport that need jobs and are working in these places that are intimidated. The other problem I have is Ian Fair and Ian Roll. These are the gentlemen in charge of the Port Authority, whose powers should be transferred back to the people of Grand Bahama, because the Port Authority has run its course. That is clear, clear, clear. Number one, it is a shell company. It collects fees, but it is a shell company. When Edward St. George decided he was going to sell off the dump, sell off the power company, sell off the airport, sell off, what is the Port Authority? When all the assets were removed from the Port Authority, put in GB DevCo, Grand Bahama Development Company, see, because Ian Fair and Ian Roll believe that everybody from Grand Bahama scared of them. I ain't scared of y'all, my brother. I looking for y'all. I come to the corner of that office at the top of the Port Authority to find you. And if you're under your desk, we can throw the desk to the side and hit you 2 slap and ask you, what do you think you are doing underdeveloping my good city, which deserves a chance for people to live and flourish? And then you Ian Fair and Ian Roll, like they competent. See, but while my friends who work at the container port may not be able to feel this line of questioning to you, your competence is only judged by your performance. And as far as I know, the last few major projects brought to Grand Bahama since Ian Roll was president and Ian Fair is now chairman was brought from Perry Christie. And oh, for Jesus' sake, if Perry Christie is your standard by which you work hard, then you lousy, because Perry Christie lousy. He ain't developing this country no more than a sick ant with no legs developing the mole friggin' hill. It ain't happening. So Ian Fair and Ian Roll, answer me this question. Answer me this. If y'all developing the Bahamas, the Grand Bahama, y'all saving the world, and y'all are nice guys, answer me this. What do you tell the investors when they say, we have heard concerns about the drag line and the power company and equipment being ruined, and we just need you to address that concern to us so that we can bring our millions of dollars and invest in Grand Bahama? I suspect that you get a blank face and end up looking like a blessed fool, because there is no answer. You have not attempted to fix the problem. Amera does whatever they feel like. They bill us in Grand Bahama based on whatever they feel like. They just come up with the bill out their head. Whatever that little white woman who's run that company say, that's your bill. I don't know her name, and I don't even care to know her name, because she should get out the Bahamas as far as I'm concerned, because she can't run a power company that could give me a bill that's valued on some kind of usage. Again, I will create a parallel. Sweet girl, the Grand Bahama Company, lousier than BEC. Ian Fair and Ian Roll, lousier than Perry Christie. What are y'all doing to Freeport? If you have the number 2 container port this side of the world, the 3rd best GDP this side of the world, Grand Bahama is a flourishing city, full infrastructure for acres and acres and acres, the nice deep water port, great niggas ready to sell and work. Why you can't get no investors? Y'all too need to go. I want to put up a picture real quick before I got to go. I want to show my cousin. This is Valentino Hanna. He is a soccer player. He does well at his craft. He also helped to usher in the players at the FIFA game that we had here at Jamaica versus Tottenham the other day. And so he's a wonderful soccer player. And I might add that he is so very skilled. His parents are Seventh-day Adventists, and he still manages without Friday evening and Saturday night to be on the team playing very well. And that's an idea, that's an expression to diversity. Seventh-day Adventist kids, even though there is a Saturday issue, which, you know, us Sunday people don't like they Saturday don't like our Sunday, whatever. But he still managed to work through it and make himself a great soccer player. Valentino Hanna. I'd like to acknowledge positive young people, Makte and Vashtai, 8 Mile Rock High School head boy and head girl. Thank you very much for watching the show this week. I want to make a special mention to one woman, Irma Dixon in Freeport. Miss Dixon, I know you watch Citizens Review. I appreciate your time. I thank you for supporting the show. Your daughter works at Graham Thompson. They told me about you, and I appreciate you watching the show. Thank you very much, Miss Dixon. We are but dust, which people who older to dust know a little better than the younger ones. And to dust we shall return, so you might as well say what you got to say before you're dead. Thank you for watching the show this week. Thank you very much, Pakisha Parker Edgecombe, Yolanda Hanna, and Dr. Surratt, who accommodated me well in Freeport. I had a wonderful time. You all find your sweaters because it's a little chilly outside. Enjoy the weather while you can. We'll be back next week, and I got some flood videos to show you if I can next time around. We'll see you later. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Citizens Review. You almost catch me when I was answering a phone call just now, but you know, things are things. First, before I get into the Pink Party and then Freeport, when I walk into JCN, they ask me, how come you got on this big sweater? I said, now see, why Bahamians always play like they fool? Y'all know that it's a little chilly outside because it's raining. When you get up this morning, you had your covers on a little tighter because the rain and the little cool weather breeze up your leg and you feel nice. So what I decided to do, like a typical Bahamian is, any excuse I get to wear my little bit of clothes I got for other weather, I pull it out. And so here I am, just like all of y'all who just pull out your little bit of clothes when little weather kick up. I got my sweater on because if my sweater feel comfortable, it feel good, and I like wearing it. And I think it's a nice sweater. You know, it has a little classical little patch and, you know, a little double breast. I trying to be stylish. As soon as Molly for men or what the next one called? What the next men's store called, man? Be something. I don't know. They need to advertise, obviously. But as soon as one of them starts sponsoring me, I'll start wearing all kind of stylish clothes. But until then, I'll wear what I have and get excited when the weather kick up, just like everybody else. You know, when you go to Junkanoo, they got on fur boots up to their leg, and they know it's only 75 degrees. But they wearing all kind of foolishness. So anyhow, in my usual Bohemian fashion. Now, I went to Pink Party. Pink Party was described, I think, as the most unique little party in the Bahamas. They had it at the old Collins House, which used to be Ministry of Education, where Antonius Roberts has redone the grounds in his usual fashion as a Bahamian artist. He's done it absolutely beautiful, little fountains and this and that all over the place. I was excited to be there. I always like to congratulate Andrea Sweeting. She is a fellow member of St. Agnes Church, and she is huge on the issue of breast cancer. She is a survivor, and she pushes the issue as much as possible. Thank you very much, Ms. Sweeting, for your work. I have some photos of when I was at Pink Party, and let me get this book. Y'all give me 1 second. There is a book that was written by students. It's called Relit. Let me bring the book close. This ain't gonna wake up, but you could see a little bit. That's technology for you. It's called Relit, The Great Retelling, a collection of old Bahamian stories written and co-written by children. And the program that's promoting this book is called After the Bell. It's a summer camp that's being hosted, and the summer camp has themes like The Great Beginnings, Outdoor Odyssey, Food Frolic, The Great Bahamian Journey, Summer Bliss and Books, Get Your Game On, The Art Is You, Stand Out, Shine, Star, Experiment, Merriment. Interesting. The Relit Challenge and Campaign, Passport, ATB in the World, Ending with Education. And I think this is so interesting because this book is about stories that have been told throughout Bahamian history by older persons. May not be your grandmother, but someone else's grandmother may have told the story. They have a story called Stories by Children. Skylar Kelly wrote one of the stories. Let me just go through here. And if you see, they have illustrations in the book by children. The children did all of the illustration work. This is A Little Mermaid. This is Long Island. It's a beautiful book, and all of the sales go towards this program that's being put on. And the description on the back here says, young writers and readers with Miss Janelle Fox, Reader's Suite Weekender Program Manager at Brownstone. So I just think it was wonderful when I met this woman who is doing it, and she talked about the fact that she had produced this book with children's stories, and it's all written by children, illustrated by children, and children sort of getting out the stories of what they heard when they were children. This one is called The Stepmother, Little Grace, and the Fig Tree by B. Jane Roll. And you just got to respect that. You just got to respect the fact that Bahamians are working like this. And this is B. Jane Roll. This is the work that she's doing after the bell and the program. So thank you very much for her for introducing me to this work that was done by her and the kids that are in her program. Show me the next. Let's see the next photos. Oh, Lord. Now, these are my biggest fans. These are the people from the organic goodies store. And they created, what I had when I was out there was peanut butter cookies and chocolate chip cookies, fully organic, fully vegan, no flour, none of that stuff. And this is Nancy Hilaire. This is Nancy here, the owner in the red dress. Vanya Ramming, Gertine Dauphin, Martina Pennerman Wilson, and Shanika McIntosh. All these ladies here greeted me very well. I bought some of the organic vegan cookies. They taste great. And I just wanted to recognize them because of the work that they're doing. Look them up on Facebook. I'm sure you can find them. She messaged me this morning to let me know, make sure you mention organic goodies. And I thought the goodies were organic and vegan, but good. And so this is them here. This is Nancy, Vanya, Gertine, Martina, and Shanika. Next. This is She's So Major, Sharice Major. She has a blog. If you've never heard of it, it's one of the top blogs in entertainment in the Bahamas. And it's so beautiful because all of these persons were out by the Pink Party, helping and supporting breast cancer, but also promoting the kind of work that they do, like the organic goodies. And this is She's So Major here. She's blogging for BTC Star Maker, and she's also blogging about stars. Anytime stars are anywhere doing anything, she has all the scoop. And a lot of Americans, hundreds of thousands, literally, not an exaggeration, but hundreds of thousands of people go to her blog every day looking and listening and enjoying the interviews. She gets scoops sometimes, all that stuff. So that's Sharice Major, from She's So Major. And you may know her, this is for the gentlemen, maybe some of the ladies, from the Sands billboard. Sands have that billboard with the sign hand on the butt. Well, that was the beautiful Miss She's So Major, Sharice Major. So that's where you may know her from. She's famous. You just didn't know you know her. Next. That's her again. She ain't the tallest gal in the world, but she's absolutely stunning. Next. Oh, this is me talking to Angelique McKay, the daughter of Margaret Elizabeth. Just sort of catching up. Next. Let's keep going. Keep going. Now, Freeport. So that was Pink Party. Now let's talk a bit about Freeport. I went to Grand Bahama, and Grand Bahama, so that you know, I just love this shot. I want to move out of the way. I want you to see how beautiful this shot is. I went to Grand Bahama, and in Grand Bahama is where my heart is. I'm a Grand Bahamian. I love Grand Bahama. I appreciate what Grand Bahama means, what it stands for, and it stands for a lot. And so I wanted to talk about Grand Bahama. I wanted to go home and take a visit. And so I got this call from Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe. And Miss Edgecombe, let's show one of the pictures with, not that one, that's coming back to that. Coming back to that, Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe. This is part of the interview. I talked about, on the interview on Up for Discussion with Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe, we talked about a lot of the, let's go to a photo, next one. Okay, so this is us in the studio. We could leave it here. Of course, that's Pakeisha up there. This is Yolanda Hanna and myself. And basically, we talked a lot about Grand Bahama. We talked a lot about what's going on in Grand Bahama, how people feel about Grand Bahama, how Grand Bahamians feel, the challenges that are facing Grand Bahama. And I am so appreciative of the fact that Pakeisha asked me to come in her new venture. As we're all aware, Pakeisha Parker ran for the F&M in West End, was not successful, and is slowly moving back into journalism. And I think, the beautiful thing about what I saw there is that Pakeisha has remained objective, although she would have ran for the F&M. It's amazing that you could find people that genuinely wanted to assist their country, genuinely wanted to help to see things come about better, and when not given the opportunity to, turns back to their craft to do what it is that they're good at. And I think that's laudable. I didn't feel, because you'd think, okay, well, she ran for the F&M, so she must see F&M and everything can be biased. But that's not so. At least it was not my opinion and not my experience. And you all know I have a knack for being not biased, because I'm not pulled in any way by any of the political parties. So I call it as I see it. And what I see in Pakeisha Parker Edgecombe is an objective journalist trying to hone her craft after having run for office, but trying to make sure that there is a air of investigation and journalism in the country. And she explained to me that's why she brought me there. And well, even if you're biased, when you bring me on the show, it don't make no difference to me, because that's your problem, your bias. I ain't into that. But I didn't feel that. She just asked me to speak, explain. She asked questions, and we had a lively discussion. If you look on my Vimeo page, you'll see that you can listen to that interview. It's only 1 hour. It was short. I thought we should have done more, but, sponsorship and all of that. So I want to show you now some of the photos of my Freeport trip, and then we'll talk a bit about Freeport. Let's go through some of the photos. These are my two good fans. This is, let me make sure I get everybody's name right now. This is Dasmine and Raven. They're both Parkers. They're distantly related to Pakeisha. That they're both Parkers, and they're lovely. They came in the restaurant, Sias, as you all know, in Freeport, and they were so excited to see me. So I was so excited to see them. And they come and they hug me, and they was like, oh my God, we watch the show every week. And I said, oh my God, thank you very much for watching the show. It was just fun, they had a good time. Let's look at, I think I have a picture. This is Felicia Seymour. This is one of my old classmates from Freeport Gospel Chapel School. And she is a good member at the church, and she's living in Freeport now. She was in school in the States just like all the rest of us. But Felicia Monet Seymour, that's my home girl. Let's keep going. This is Trey Butler. This is the brother of the two girls that I just showed you, Raven and Jasmine. And he is responsible for one of the pictures on my Instagram, which is the big keep calm and watch Citizens Review picture. He sort of just took his talents and just crafted the picture and put it out there. So I've shared it, and I thought it was wonderful, and I finally got a chance to meet him. He's a young man, very inspiring. He mentioned to me a concept about the others. Of course, when you tell me about something, I got to check you and challenge it and see how you're thinking. And he said to me before he left the restaurant, he said, remember, we are the others. I said, well, what you mean by that? And he said, well, the others. There are a lot of people who don't really understand what's going on. They don't really think through a lot of what's happening, but then we are the others. We're the ones that are thinking and trying to understand things. And I tell him, I like that, but you got to be careful with that now, because there is a tendency to separate yourself from other people, when in fact that all have sinned and come short of the glory. Ye of little sin cast the first stone. And that goes for ignorance too. All of us are ignorant of some things. So I question him on that, but he's a sharp fella now. He had some give back for me. So Trey Butler, thanks very much. This is their mother, Jennifer Parker. Wonderful woman. She's a huge fan of the show. She told me that her smallest son wanted to come to Sias to meet me too, but it was bad time. And so he was in bed. And I said, oh man, you should just bring him. She said, nope. He had to go to bed, go to school tomorrow. So I said, and then it turned out it didn't turn out to be any school. But anyway, order is order. Children got to go to bed. And I believe in that. Next up, and this is the whole family. Beautiful family, Trey Butler. This is, hold on, let me make sure I remember. This is Raven, that's Jasmine, and Jennifer. I thought her name was Craven. When she said that, I said, now that name a little exciting. And she said, no, it's Raven. So that's the family. I just thought it was wonderful that I put it on Facebook that I was at SIAS, and they came to meet the guy that they've been watching all this time. And I met like 30 or 40 other people in SIAS who came and said, man, I heard you was to SIAS, so I had to come meet you. You was the fellow who was be on TV. Next. Then I went to Tabernacle Primary School with Norris Bain, who is the principal, and I was speaking to the kids. They asked me to read to the kids. And so I did. Obviously, you could see that these are the smaller kids. These are the little kids. But there was another group of kids that I spoke to, which were the 6th graders. Let's keep going. And these kids I read to, these are the 3rd graders, because I thought they were so cute. We read The Cat in the Hat, and we were talking about the fact that The Cat in the Hat talks about when you do things and your ma ain't home. So you get in trouble, and then the cat in the hat came and cleaned up all the mess. And the question is, where did you tell your mommy what you was doing when you wasn't home? So it's very interesting. Next. That's me reading the book to them. I actually made them read it first, because I don't really believe in reading to children when children can read. And then they asked me to read, so I did little accents, and I was saying, oh, and the cat in the hat, you know, to keep it fun for children. Next. Okay, and this one I was forcing the little fella to read. Keep going. And he was having quite a good time. This is Norris Bain, the principal of the school. I had my sleeves rolled up. I was ready to work. And now you will see me in the classroom with the bigger kids. Well, actually, this is the shot of me and the little kids. Keep going. Next shot of me and the little kids saying Falcons all at one, Tabernacle Falcons. Next. Yeah, next. Okay, so this is the 6th graders. Now, I must admit, I had so much fun in the class with the 6th graders at Tabernacle. And what they didn't tell me before I went into class is that these were the smart kids. These were the top tier. And so we had this little discussion amongst the kids about how, you know, we to separate the dumb children from the smart children. So we just, if you went to, say, Tabernacle, so 6T for Tabernacle would be the smart kids, and then like 6B would be 3 levels down, so they a little dumb. And we do that all the time. And I think, you know, the technology has found ways for us to accommodate children in much friendlier ways and to accommodate their growth and development as they grow differently. Keep going. Next. And this is me talking to the kids, because what I was asked to do was read to them. And I said, well, it don't make no sense to me to be reading to no blessed 6th graders. They grown, you know, they could read. I don't have to make them read. So what I did was I just came back from D.C. to Howard graduation. So I pulled out my Howard magazine, which is intended for adult reading. And I said, okay, all right, let's give a challenge, because I believe in empowerment. I don't believe in holding people back. Let's give a challenge. This is the Howard magazine. See that there? Howard Innovative Research. Absolutely beautiful. Howard University. Get yourself an application. Get inside Howard. So I gave the kid the magazine, and I said, listen. I flipped to the middle, and there's this article about convocation, 2012, let me show it to you, with Susan Rice. Susan Rice is the UN ambassador from the United States, and she have little problems going on. Let's go to another picture. She have little issues going on because she was involved in the Benghazi issue and all of that. If you don't know what that is, catch up on the news. I can't help you right now. I'm talking about the children. So, and I gave it to the young fella, and I said, listen, if you read the first 4 paragraphs of this, then we ain't got to see if y'all could read. Y'all could read, we could. We'll move on. Young fella, take this. He said, Susan Rice, U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, encouraged students at the 145th opening convocation to thrive in the Promised Land, while thriving to complete the work of trailblazing American leaders who came before them. It is about finding your own way on the soil of your grandparents only dreamed about undertaking, Rice said. I come here to ask, what will you do? What will your generation contribute? how will you carry on the legacy of service to your country and the world? Boy, that nigga read that so smooth. I said, well, that's it. Put the magazine down. Time to talk. So they was like, okay, so what we can talk about? I said, calm down. Relax yourself. We can talk. So I said, now, what are the resources of the Bahamas? And they said, sun, sand, and sea. I said, no, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Let's show another picture. We can go through a couple of these pictures. Oh, see, that's nice. Getting excited. You should see me in person. I'm much more animated. This is me being calm for the show. So I said, what are the resources of the Bahamas? It's sun, sand, and sea. We have tourism as our number one industry, banking and finance, and construction and development. So I told the kids, let's go to another picture. I told the kids, see? All right. So I told the kid, boy, look here. You see that symmetry? Slim. Woo! Hallelujah. This sweater making me look big. Got I don't want y'all to think, call Miss Cambridge. Call Miss Cambridge. Hallelujah. Call Miss Cambridge. You see that? Look at that man. All right. You too can be slim. Anyway, let me stop messing around. So I told the kids, let's envision something. Let's envision that you live in a house and people live in the house with you. And they said, okay. I said, okay. Now, in that house with you are some people who make the most of the money. I said, number one in your house is tourism. Number two in your house is banking. Is a guy named tourism, a guy named banking, and another guy named development. I said, now, that making you uncomfortable? The kids say, yeah, man, these other people in your house. I said, okay, now you and your mommy and your daddy in the house too, but they over there in the house. Now, follow the analogy. I said, now, Mr. Tourism, he from North America. He ain't from the Bahamas. I said, Mr. Banking, he from Europe. He ain't from the Bahamas. I said, then you got Mr. Development, and he from China. He ain't from the Bahamas. Now, here's the symbolism. Then you got everyone else at the bottom. And where they from? They say, the Bahamas, eh? One thing you got to love with Jaron always got it figured out, you know. You think you can have a conversation about macro and microeconomics with Jaron? They dead sensible. You just got to bring it to them. So I say, all right, so we got a house, Mr. Tourism, North America, Mr. Banking, Europe, Mr. Development, he from China. I said, now, in the household, after them three, you got everybody else. You, your ma, your pa, your auntie, your uncle, your god sister, god brother, your cousins, everybody. I said, now, where's most of the money coming from? They said, well, Mr. Tourism making all the money. I said, yes, that is true. I said, and then Mr. Banking making the second most, right? They say, yeah, and then Mr. Development from China making the next most. They say, yeah, mother's sick. I said, well, how are we going to make any money? I said, well, that's the question. They say, well, so what we just do? I said, Mr. Tourism, Mr. Banking, Mr. Development in the house. Then everybody else in the house, you and your family. And you trying to figure out, what do we do in this house? Where all the money is at the top, we ain't making none, and we in the house. So I say, well, what do you think we do? One fellow say, well, my mommy work for the hotel. I say, well, anybody mommy work for the bank? Yeah. I say, well, anybody daddy is a construction worker? Say, yeah. I say, well, then that's what you just do. You work. You are the labor. And they say, that ain't fair. How come we got to do all the work? I said, well, sweet boy and sweet girl, it wasn't me who set it up. But I could tell you that this is your house. The numbers prove it. They said, well, then how are we supposed to live in that house? Because that ain't really our house. That's their house. They got all the money. I said, well, then that's how come you're in the situation here. No, I can't pay your bill and no, I can't think because you ain't making enough money. So then I said, but hold on. There's another group. They say, who? I say, so you got Mr. Tourism, you got Mr. Banking, you got Mr. Development, you got everyone else, and then underneath that, you got a group called immigrants. And they say, oh, trying to be theatrical. So I say, okay, now you got this group called immigrants. And they say, well, what you mean by that? I said, well, who are the immigrants? They said, we don't know. I said, boy, y'all can play stupid when you're ready. So all the children bust out laughing. And then they say, who are the immigrants? And they say, you mean the Haitians, eh? I said, yes, you got it. So I write the Haitians in. And then I write everyone. And we got Mr. Tourism, Mr. Banking, and Mr. Development at the top. So they say, okay, now, so we don't like the Haitians. I said, why y'all don't like the Haitians? They said, because they trying to take over. I said, oh, they trying to take over, eh? I said, well, what you got to do is tell me what the Haitians do. They said, well, what you mean by that? I said, well, what the Haitians do? We have the system here, this and here. We have a house. We have tourism, Mr. Tourism from North America, Mr. Banking from Europe, and Mr. Development from China. I said, now we got fishing underneath there. That's Bahamas. That's Bahamians. And over here we have this big thing called labor. And that's us. So what you think the immigrants doing? I say, you think they're in tourism? I say, no. You think they're in banking? No. You think they're in development? No more than construction worker. So one fella said, they working too. I said, you got it. I said, no. Let's go back in history. 1804 to 1973. Haitians were the first black people on this side of the world, the Western Hemisphere, to be free. 1804. It take us, as a young man figured out, and I gave him $5 for figuring this out, how much time is there between 1804 and 1973? He say, everybody say 171 years. I said, no, that, the teacher said that wrong. The little boy say 169. I say, you got it. 169 years it took us to catch on to the message and become free ourselves. And we still got the queen on the money. So then I said, so Haiti provided for our freedom. Did you all know that? They say no. Then one girl, I think it was the head girl, said, well, how come they don't teach us this? I said, well, darling, I can't be responsible for that. And I don't think it's Mr. Bain's fault. I say, it's the whole country teaching Unitarian a bunch of nonsense all over the country. So she say, I said, because I could promise you at St. Andrews and Life at Key School, they ain't learning about this. So she say, oh, so this is a different story we see in now. I say, exactly, because what you are realizing is your number one industry, number 1, 2, and 3 is labor. Mr. Tourism, Mr. Banking, and Mr. Development making all the money. You ain't making no money. You in the house ain't making no money and paying all the bills. And the Haitians is not your enemy. I say, who, if anybody, would be your enemy? They say, well, Mr. Banking, Mr. Tourism, and Mr. Development. I say, exactly. Because all the money up there and all of us down here. And that's the problem with the country. We at the bottom of the triangle. It's capitalism. It's go like that. And Mr. Tourism, Mr. Banking, and Mr. Development at the top. And all of us down here at the bottom fighting to get up on the top, and busy calling it black crab syndrome, when in fact we are in a cage. And the cage making us fight. Not the fact that we just want to fight each other. The cage making us fight. And these little children, 6-year-olds, at Tabernacle Primary School, got the message. They say, well, that's it. You can't have people in your house making all the money, because then you're going to end up broken doing all the hard work. I said, well, somebody send a memo to Perry Christie, because we keep telling these idiots, stop cutting these deals to make us workers, and they keep cutting them deals, and every time they run for office, they just tell us a bunch of foolishness. And the children say, well, mother said. Next picture. So we were in studio, and keep talking, keep going through the pictures. That's Pakisha. Oh, look at Pakisha. Pakisha had one peculiar face on. This is another gentleman in Freeport. Just so you know, don't move from this picture. This gentleman lost more than $100 and something thousand in equipment. For those of you who don't know, Freeport don't have no fire station no more, no fire, nothing, no fire. They don't put out fire in Freeport. If you set fire in Freeport, fire can burn. And this man lost a lot of his business. And ain't nobody saying nothing. The port authority say, oh, the government responsible for fire. And the government say, yeah, well, we coming with it. They can be there in a minute. And the man place burned down. Where this is the back of the bush, eh? Back of the bush. You could have big time Freeport and the man place burned down. Ain't nothing to stop the fire. It's ridiculous. Keep going. This is Mr. Thompson. I met him. He was telling me a little bit about the casino business, and I thought it was wonderful, so we were sitting down chatting for a minute. Keep going. Keep going. Let's just keep moving. Navarre Smith. Navarre Smith has a show in Freeport on 102.1 on Saturdays, and I can be calling in more often because I got to get the people in Freeport moving, man. I got to get them, rile up and kicking. Let's take a break here on that note. We come back, and I want to talk a bit more about some of the challenges in Freeport. Navarre Smith, everybody. Great Grand Bahamian.